You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, what's up, dude? How's it going?
Man, just hanging in there. Having New World withdrawals already, man, but that's okay. You know, it is what it is, man. We're going to make it through.
For sure. Episode 79 coming at you live here if you're listening to us on Twitch. Also, guys, thank you so much for the 5-star ratings we got this week. You guys are killing it over there. We appreciate that. Just if you wouldn't mind, if you haven't already, continue to help us out in that category. It really does help people find us in the podcast directory over there at Apple and Spotify as well. So thank you guys so much for doing that this week. Also, guys, check out New World Fans. We continue to do work over there on the website to prepare that. We have some exciting, really exciting announcements coming soon, Bordy, to share with everybody. So stay tuned. Maybe even as early as next week on the podcast, we'll get to announce that. It'll be dope. We appreciate you guys. Maybe, who knows at this point, but it's been great. You guys have just continued to be extremely supportive to us over there on New World Fans, and obviously with the podcast New World Go. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Okay, guys. So let's hop right in here, Bordy. A battle for New World. It resolved. They have got the final results in, or what they feel like is the final results in. They did mention there was some bugging with the system, to keep track of points and scoring, but they think that this was the most accurate one that they have. So they're going with this, and it is that Syndicate won the battle from New World, Bordy. So Team Purple representing is exciting to see. Syndicate won the battle for New World.
Yeah, I mean, would you expect anything less, bro? I mean, Syndicate is the superior faction. You know what I mean? That's,
the Marauders were looking pretty good, dude. They were honestly looking pretty good. But it seems like, and then for a while, I guess Syndicate, or not Syndicate, but the Covenant was also putting the grind in. I know Anthony Capong and those guys were grinding those faction boards, and I thought for sure they were going to win, but it ended up Syndicate pulled it out. So congrats to the Syndicate team. The winners of the Battle for New World will get an exclusive drop on Twitch, and this is a weapon set, and that'll be exclusive to their streams, the people that participate on the Syndicate team, for the first 7 days. So if you want to get unlock this weapon pack, just go watch one of the streamers. I'm sure it'll happen a lot like the armor set that they're dropping, Bordy. You'll just watch for an hour and get the drop, I would think, on that particular streamer. Obviously, you have to watch that unique streamer. You can't hop around a bunch of streams in total an hour usually. If it's anything like the armor.
It's any of them. Yeah, it's any of the streamers that participated in the Battle for New World because they had those leaderboard issues. I think you said it was just the people that won. I think it's everyone, man. So anybody that had that Battle for New World, you can just go watch the stream and get the drop. Yeah, which is pretty cool, man. Have you seen them, Rad? Have you seen what the drops look like?
They do look super cool. They're purple, and you kind of mentioned it particularly, or possibly because of the victory of the Syndicate team. But
I would assume so. Yeah.
I'll pull this up on the podcast here for our viewers. The weapons look sick. I mean, they have a nice, a nice Syndicate theme to them. Obviously, very purple. I love the design of all of them, dude. I'm hoping, Bordy, that this is just a hint of things to come with armor packs and designs that you can have available for your weapon skins. I think this is sick.
Yeah, I would hope so, man. They do look really cool. I like the ice gauntlet, the purple with the really snow white color you got going on there. It looks really dope. I like it a lot. It looks really nice. So you better believe I'm going to be getting those drops for sure, dude.
Yes,
I'm going to be repping that, no doubt. Yeah.
Got to tune in. So also, guys, this is important. If you guys haven't bought New World already, and maybe you're going to wait to see how the launch goes, they're giving each of those streamers also get 100 copies of New World to give away. So that's a lot of copies, man. That's an insane amount of copies to give out.
That's a lot of copies because there's a lot of people on each team. I don't know how many there are. I guess we can look real fast on the leaderboard. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So maybe 11-ish people on each team, dude. So that's a lot of copies.
I believe that would be NA and EU as well, right? So, I mean, that's, that is a ton of copies. But again, I think the event went extremely well. Very well received. I know a lot of streamers that put a ton of time into the game, grinding the game to try to pull out ahead for their team. Burke Black obviously not carried, but did a lot of work on the Syndicate side with over almost 6 million points. And then obviously Smashley, the leader of the faction, put in another 4.5. I mean, it's pretty crazy to see the support and the time that these people put in. And it was interesting to watch for sure. So hopefully there's more stuff like this in the future, for New World or in store for the New World community, because overall I thought it was a pretty well put together event.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was awesome. The only thing that was missing was members of the Studio Loot team in there.
Maybe one day, dude. That would be sick. That would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, so guys, all these rewards will be available at launch. So, and we're getting ready to talk about the change in the date of launch. But September 28th is when the 7 days kicks off, and you'll get that opportunity to get those exclusive drops. So don't forget to go over there and check it out. All right, Bordy. So here's the main topic of the event. We covered this in a brief moment just to put out a little bit of a YouTube video, but we wanted to kind of go into depth in the podcast. So this isn't the first time we've had to cover something like this, but New World has been delayed till September 28th, and that is obviously a little under a month, I guess, if you want to be optimistic. A little under a month, 4 weeks exactly, that the game was delayed. And we just want to talk about, there's a lot of, I think, misconceptions going around about why the game was delayed, what potentially is going to happen during the delay, what the New World team's official statement was to clear that up as well. So here we go. So basically they stated that despite the great success of the beta, they indicated that over 1 million people had played New World, which is insane for a beta, I think. They at one point hit over 200,000 concurrent players, another really crazy stat. They said that despite the success, they felt like they would need some more time to get the game into a better state for launch. They stated a lot of the bugs, exploits, and server issues being the main reason that they delayed. And if you've been following New World or at least the beta to any extent on Reddit or anything like that, that there was some bugs for duping, and players were able to dupe items, and there were some bugs for XP gain, and obviously we all know about the server issues that they were having to bring down servers for hours at a time to make sure that that the problems are getting resolved, et cetera, et cetera. So Bordy, right quick here, why don't you go ahead and just give your quick thoughts on the delay and the 4-week extension of the launch date?
Yeah, so I mentioned this in the video that we did about the delay, and I mean, it sucks, man. It sucks for a lot of reasons, because we want to play the game, no doubt. I mean, everybody was excited for it, everybody was hyped about it, and it was about to, we were at this point we would have only been 3 weeks away. Man, I was really, really hyped and really ready to play the game, but I understand why they did it. I get it. I understand it. They want to have a smooth launch, and I hope that they do. And so I fully understand it. It is what it is. We can wait another month, and I just hope, man. I just really hope that on the 28th the game actually comes out. We've stood by the game coming out a couple of times now, Red, and we've been vastly wrong. So I think this is like the second time the game was supposed to launch. You and I both were so certain the game was coming out, and then they delayed for a year. And then this time on August the 31st, I was dead set, 100% positive the game was going to release. And then it didn't. And now they pushed it back to August or to September. So now with it being September 28th, man, I just really hope that they drop the game on that date. And there are no more delays. They were very adamant about it releasing on August 31st. So now it's like, man, what's going to happen now? And so I know it probably leaves some question marks in some people's minds for sure that have been following the game for a long time. And that's kind of the only negative, the only downside. And plus, I guess because we have to wait. But the biggest takeaway for me is that, this is their fourth delay. And I hope that they release on the 28th, because if something goes vastly wrong in those 2 months and they have to push it back another month or whatever, man, I feel like a lot of the hype's going to start dying down for the game. And that's not what we want to have happen. So I hope that they get it right. I hope they release on the 28th and they get everything fleshed out before then, because if they don't, I feel like it's just going to continue to be, I don't want to say detrimental to the game, but it's going to lose some steam for sure, because there's also some other games coming out soon. They may not be MMOs, but there's some big titles dropping that could potentially dig into the player base anyway. So I hope that they release on the 28th, man.
Yeah, I think I did. And again, we've been wrong. Obviously, I just think we've just been taking their word for it, right? If they say that it's going to release, on a certain day, we just assume that would be correct, right? And obviously, being confident in that probably has waned a tad bit. But the thing about it is, Bordy, is obviously you don't want to launch a game with, exploits and things like that allow players to gain some sort of advantage. They'd mentioned that before, though, that obviously that would be their main attention on launch. So my thoughts are potentially is that they found some problems that they knew were going to take a while to work through. Maybe there was a deeper issue that was causing, these particular issues and they knew they wouldn't be able to resolve it fully in the time that they had, which was under a month at that point, right? The beta ended on the 2nd and the game is supposed to launch on the 31st. So maybe they just being sure that they were going to give themselves enough time. I do agree with you. That they really, I think, had an actual butt ton of hype from the Battle from New World event, from the beta, and in any further delay would probably diminish that hype that they received from the game, because this is now their 4th delay, I believe, on the game, 3rd or 4th. It depends on how you're counting, I guess. But yeah, so it is important, I think, for them to follow through at this point. It is a bit of a meme, but again, it's only 4 weeks, and they mentioned, and this is the next topic we're going to go through. They mentioned that the reason is because they needed to resolve some issues to make sure that the launch was better. Now, here's what I know that they're not doing, because they also tweeted out about this. They're not adding new content to the game, and it's amazing. Or maybe not so amazing, because the internet is the internet. How many people think that they're delaying because they're going to add more content? That's not the intention of the delay. That would take much more time to do. Something that they literally did this a year ago. Said that we're going to add more content, and it took them, and they've added a lot of content, like an obscene amount of content in that year. But it took them a year to do that. So we're not getting new content right now. I don't think the game particularly even needs the new content. I think the game needs to launch, and then we can continue to build content as the game is a live client. Bordy, what are your feelings on the delay and the potential adding of new content, or lack thereof, I guess?
Yeah, it does kind of blow my mind. People are begging for a roadmap. They're freaking out, thinking that they're just flying by the seat of their pants here or whatever. I don't know what's going through people's heads. I have no idea. But yes, they did make it very clear on Twitter that they're not adding any new content. They're just squashing bugs and working on performance so that the launch can be as smooth as possible. I would imagine that they're probably doing some small tweaks too, to probably leveling and the XP gain and things like that they got data for during the beta, which I think is perfect. I agree. I don't think that there really needs to be a lot of new content added at this point. I think there's plenty for a launch product. We've talked about this before on past episodes. I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about it before the beta, or maybe during the beta. I don't know, but I think it's fine. I think the amount of content they have in the game right now is fine for a launch product. I really do. I think there's people that'll argue that until they're blue in the face, and that's fine. That's their opinion. But I think it's fine for launch product. People like to compare this game to WoW, Final Fantasy, whatever other MMOs that are out that have been out for literally 10 plus years. And this game is not out for 10 plus years. This game is about to be a launch product. People forget what vanilla WoW was like. People forget
that. It shouldn't, because the game was re-released like 2 years ago.
True. True, but you get the point here, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what's more annoying about it, I think.
Yeah, people expect like a game to launch with 30 plus dungeons, with all these high-end raids, with all this content. It's like, no, dude, this is a launched MMO. Like, it took those games literally years and years and years of development to get to where they are today. A
decade, like, or two.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like ESO with their dungeons, how many years did it take them to incorporate all that into their game? Like, it's a process, man, and that's what you want. You want a game, you want there to be room for improvement and room for growth with the MMO, right? And I think there's plenty of that. I do think that after launch, they will drop some big content patches, like probably a month, 2 months in. I think they're going to start dropping content updates. And I also think I also think, man, they already have a lot of content in the pipeline ready to go. I think that it's just there. I think they have a new zone. I think they have new weapons. I think they have all kinds of new stuff ready to drop on us for an expansion later on down the road, and possibly even 2 or 3 ahead of time. Maybe I don't know how far down the road they have, but I do think they have some content sitting there in the pipeline, which is great. So I think if they focus on these bug fixes, focus on polishing up the game, and they actually release on September 28th, I think it'll be in a really good spot.
For sure. And again, it is just, here's the thing, and you make a great point, and we made this point several times on the podcast. Too many people want to just compare this game to a game they've been playing for 15 years. And then they say, well, this game's not good enough. Well, your expectations are impossible to meet. So if you keep expecting anyone or anybody or any company or corporation trying to strive to make a new MMO, they're always going to fall short for that particular expectation. So, as a community, I think, and I'm speaking as an MMO fan, someone who, loves the genre, who wants to see new blood in the game, who wants to see, I want to be able to waste my time in these worlds for, thousands of hours or whatever. And we're never going to see innovation and things like that in the genre if we keep just putting down games because of their lack of content, quote unquote. Now, I can understand like not having a game that literally has nothing to do. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a game that doesn't meet the standard of a 15-year MMO like WoW or Final Fantasy 14. And that's what I guess triggers me a little bit, which I'm not above admitting, is like that attitude. Like it's, it really needs to have this, and this. Or the game's gonna fail. Well, that's not necessarily true. At ESO, I was a big player of ESO. Obviously, I put a ton of time in the game, and that game did not have in-game rating at launch. It took a while to put out Craglorn, their first rating zone. They didn't have Battlegrounds. That took them, I think, a year and something to put together, Bordy, the arena system that they had in place.
That took a while.
And so, like, again, and that is a massive studio. ZeniMax, online and Bethesda put the game together. So, I know that we have a lot of expectations for Amazon, if you want to call it Amazon Game Studio, to put out a good product. And I think, for an initial launch product, they're going to. The beta was extremely well received. I had a ton of fun in it. Obviously, I think thousands of people did. It's ridiculous to think that the game needs more time. Like, we need to launch, play the game more. Obviously, they can work on the, bugs and exploits that they find, but that are new. But obviously, I think, like you said, they have new content already ready for us, and we just need to get that month or two underneath our belt, and then we'll get it then at that point.
Yeah, and I think that we're probably really talking about the vocal minority of the game, because I really feel like most people that played the beta really enjoyed it. There was a vastly overwhelming, positive feedback. I think I said that all wrong, but you get the point. There was a lot of positive feedback on Twitter and from everywhere that I've seen from people that actually played and spent a lot of time in the game. Now, there was some constructive criticism going on, and rightly so. We want the game to be better. We want the game to be good. And that's what a beta is for, is to give that feedback and that criticism for the game so they can make those things better in the future. But as far as the overall gameplay mechanics and the depth of the game and everything that was there, I think it was very, very well received amongst the masses. There's just that vocal minority that's always there, I think, for any MMO that's out there it just blows my mind, man. That group of people are so loud, man. And it can be just, a percent or two of the population. And they're just so loud about wanting things to change and wanting things to happen that just don't necessarily need to happen. But I do think overall it was very well received. The beta, I feel like, went really, really well. I mean, I think most people in our Discord, man, really enjoyed it. We had a fantastic group running around during beta, and everybody had positive things to say about the game. And there was so much positive feedback everywhere that I looked. So I was very happy with it, man. They squashed these bugs, dude. I think they're going to have a really, really good launch product on their hand, dude, in a couple of months. It's just a shame we have to wait a couple of months. But hey, if it means a better launch product on September the 28th than it would have been on August the 31st, I'm here for it. I hope and pray, dude, that they release on September the 28th, or else I really feel like that's just not going to be good. I think that the 1 month lead wait time, I think people are okay with. I think if they push it back any further than that, man, it's going to be a lot of negative press coming their way.
Yeah. And it's challenging to think that they would do that again, obviously. I mean, I hate to like quadruple down on this, but I don't mind gambling from time to time, Bordy. I think that they're gonna get these bugs knocked out and launch on the 28th. They've got a lot of hype. They got a lot of hype and a lot of reasons to put together. And again, my greatest fear is that they listen to the wrong people. Obviously, I think that they, for the most part, they're seasoned veterans and they know what they're doing. And I just worry about big, loud voices that can kind of ruin communities in a way, or ruin games development processes. We've been part of a game. I won't name the name of the game. That the game was absolutely ruined by the loud minority. That the loud minority continued to provide feedback and stand tall or whatever, or stand firm on these false beliefs or opinions on the game and the direction the game should go. They happen to listen to this small minority of people, and the game's in a terrible place right now. And it may never recover because they've rooted so many core, design features in that attitude, which is basically, and me and you talk about this a lot, and partly because I think we've been part of both of these demographics before in our lives. You have the 1% that can play the game for 16 hours a day and complain about not enough content or in-game features, and that have that capability of playing the game at an alarming rate and amount of time invested on a daily basis. And then you have the casual, or the 90% of the player base that just want a good game to play, sit down with their friends 2 or 3 hours a night when they get home and get settled in, or maybe they get their kids in bed. And they want a good, fair gaming experience to have with their friends and the people that they play video games with. And I think you have to. It's good to appease both crowds. Don't get me wrong, because I think a lot of games that balance around competitive player, the higher end players, making things fair in that way immediately makes it fair for all the player base for the most part. But designing the game around that 1% can often make your game intolerable for the other 90%. And that's the only concern I have right now. Obviously, I don't think they're going to listen to those people. But I just worry, obviously, because we've been part of a community that has happened to before.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a fine line there that you have to walk for sure, because it's hard to appease those crowds whenever you're creating an MMO. We've seen that a lot, and it is tough, man. But I hope that they do kind of cater more to the masses than to that 1%. Now, that may sound crazy, but if you want to help the MMO, that's kind of what you have to do, right? You can't cater to that 1% because 95% or whatever, 99% probably of your player base aren't going to be sitting there playing the game for 10 hours a day long term, right? There's going to be people that take off work, et cetera, for the first week or whatever and grind it out. But long term, most people can't do that, man. The vast majority of people can't do that. So why would you design your game around the very, very small minority of people that can. It just doesn't make sense. So I hope they don't go that route. I really hope they don't. I hope that they find that balance there, and really good MMOs have found that balance. I mean, all the MMOs that are out right now that are very successful in the realm, the big three, you have WoW, Final Fantasy, and ESO. I think they all do a fairly good job at doing that. There's content for those super hardcore players, and then there's a lot of content for the people who just necessarily can't play that much, and they do a great job of doing that. So hopefully New World will hit that sweet spot too.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I know, like, you kind of went on a little bit of a rant. I mean, like, so for instance, and this is the best example I think I have, is the leveling process, right? You don't want to balance the leveling process around the minority, that 1% that can spend that much time, because then your most of your player base won't ever see max level. And then obviously we know for the most part, like,
then they're going to quit.
Yeah. Then they're probably going to quit and give up, especially if it's not a rewarding level experience, which is a whole nother conversation. But it's just something that you do have to, you do have to constantly kind of look at it what is the majority of the player base experiencing, and what makes that game good for them, and also those people that want to dedicate that much time to the game. Because me and you are going to play the game a ton. We're probably going to fall into that 1% minority. Eventually we create content around the game. We have a website, a podcast, a YouTube channel dedicated to the game. I mean, I would consider us probably hardcore players at this point, even with this, even with the way we play the game, right? Which is like probably 4 hours a day. At some point, and then on weekends maybe we get to do a little bit more. But the thing is I just know from experience and history that ESO was another great example. The veteran rank system made a lot of people quit. Before they introduced one Tamriel, there was a veteran rank system, and the champion point system, I guess, was the other thing that they did to change this. But you had to literally go back and grind through the other two factions' story quests at a increased difficulty level. And I remember being like, when I hit max level, I remember there was only like 1,000 people on the entire game that had hit max level at that point. And I played the game like 8 hours a day. And I remember like so many people quit because of that, because they felt like they couldn't get to max level, or it'd take them way too long to actually hit veteran rank 14. And dude, it was crazy, man. And I really, the game suffered, and it took a long time to recover. I mean, everybody knows the follies that were involved with the initial launch of Elder Scrolls Online, and it took them years to recoup that player base, and they're going great now. But I think a lot of newer MMOs can learn from that, Bordy, to not make those mistakes and to have a fair product at launch.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they're looking back at MMOs that have failed and have been successful and taking a few pages out of their books in terms of content and content release schedule and that type of thing, the leveling experience and all of those things you have to take into consideration when making a good MMO. And I think overall, like I said before, I think overall New World was vastly received in a positive manner. I really feel like they're going to have a fantastic launch product, man. And we're hopefully a couple months out from getting to play for a very long time, dude. I hope the game lasts for 10 plus years.
That seems to be the plan. And, obviously that would be awesome. And I think, again, we've probably ranted long enough, or I've ranted long enough. I know that for sure. We just want to see the game succeed. And I do feel like this is potentially the last delay we're going to have to deal with.
I hope so. I sure hope so, dude.
I say that with like 90% confidence. So that's a lot of confidence. I would bet on a 90% on for sure. So
I was super confident the past two times too.
Yeah.
And
I was more confident in the August 31st date than I ever was on any other thing. So but that's for other reasons that are probably still under NDA. So Bordy, let's wrap this up. And go ahead and announce the company of the week, which is the Maids of Edengrove. Nice name.
Yeah. So this is a really, really cool company, one that's unique from, I think, any company that we've had the pleasure of talking about on the podcast before. So it says Maids of Edengrove, the region is NA, server undecided faction syndicate. Let's go. And their focus is crafting, dude. I think this is the first crafting focused company that we have had the pleasure of promoting here on the podcast, which is awesome. They are currently recruiting. They're in US East. So their activity is going to be crafting and comfy PVX is what they say here. Faction Syndicate. And I think they're going to be a little bit of an RP themed company too, because it says their theme is going to be anime/maid themed. And it says about us. It says, everyone, welcome to Maids of Edengrove, a unique company that focuses on improving the quality of life in Eternum. We know you are very wary and life is hard, but come stay at our host club. Enjoy our fluffy waffles, crispy chicken, and tasty fruit jams while you relax by the fire after a long day of grinding. So it says their goals is to reach 30 active members by the end of beta. I wonder if they hit that. Hopefully, if they didn't hit that, hopefully this shout out will help them hit that a little bit. We sure hope so. And it says they want to plan day one leveling and group teams for release. They want to develop strategy plans based on settlement wars and beta, and then create task teams for organized battles. So really, really cool, man. They have a lot of other activities and a lot of other information listed there on their little profile here on newworldfans.com. So go check that out. We'll make sure we link that in all of the descriptions below. But it sounds like a really cool company. If you guys are into crafting, crafting a little bit of RP, this might be the place for you to be.
Yes, and again, go check that over at New World Fans, Maids of Edengrove. We thank you guys for supporting New World Fans by creating your account over there and promoting your guild. And special thanks to all our Patreons for your continued support. Again, guys, we're very grateful for our community, for the podcast listeners, for the people that visit the website, our Patreons, the YouTube subs. You guys are the best. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. And again, we're going to continue to put these episodes out weekly. So we will see you next week on another episode of New World to Go.